Well, for more on the Trump transition, we're joined by Washington Post columnist Catherine Rampell. Good morning, Catherine.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us. Boy, did Putin surprise a lot of people here by not going tit for tat on this. Do you think, though, that the bromance between Putin and President-elect Donald Trump could actually survive the pressure from the Republican Party?
So far, the pressure from the Republican Party has not been particularly great, I would add. Yeah. You have John McCain and Lindsey Graham, pushing for even tougher sanctions, but you also have a lot of congressional Republicans basically saying that what Russia did was excusable because it produced truthful information, which may or may not be accurate, but of course, it's a very dangerous logic to use to say, well, as long as the information is truthful, we don't care if they hack us, if they engage in essentially cyber warfare.
At the same time, we're going to have hearings here, though, on the hacking issue. Do you think that's going to in any way complicate the new administration's attempts to reset relations with Russia?
Potentially. I mean, the optics are pretty bad, right? Trump during the campaign was very sensitive about being called Putin's puppet. We have a number of stories, as you have recently discussed, that make it look pretty bad, right? If a number of the attacks that Russia has attempted on the integrity of our electoral system, for example, or our electric grid, if those go uncommented upon. But we'll have to see. I mean, Trump does seem to have a lot of admiration for Putin.
We know during the campaign trail, Donald Trump pushed creating jobs, rebuilding the economy, two big platforms. What else do you think he'll try to push through in his first 100 days?
Early on, most likely, we'll see a major tax cut come through. That's something that the Republicans in Congress and in the Senate are very much on board with. We may also see some sort of major infrastructure overhaul or investment, which would probably be done through the tax system as well. And I would also look for something to happen on Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act. Exactly what that looks like remains to be seen.
Wait, I mean, there's been a lot of talk, obviously, about repealing Obamacare over some kind of time frame. That's still very murky, though. Do we have any signals, though, in terms of how quickly they want to make that happen?
My best guess is that they will try to repeal it in name, at the very least, right away.
Right.
But when it'll actually come into effect could be a couple of years from now. Healthcare is very, very complicated. Yeah. It's very easy to break. And while the Affordable Care Act itself as a brand is unpopular, most of the things that the Affordable Care Act does are quite popular. And Americans don't necessarily realize that the one is associated with the other. So if Republicans immediately repeal the subsidies or the protections for those with pre-existing conditions, et cetera, the Republicans themselves might receive a lot of blowback as a result.
All right, Catherine Rampell, thanks so much.